Arp and Arp Sounds here. Today I've got Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode, and this is part of the 80s cover set 3 for Gig Performer 5 and the Arturia V Collection 10. So if you have a look, I've got 12 song parts. It starts off with a pre-intro. The pre-intro is featured in some of the music videos with a digital clav sound on the left hand and the choir on the right. It does that twice and goes straight into the song. Song part intro with bell is what I would recommend if you're not playing the guitar part during the song. If you have a guitar player who will be doing that, then you can stick with this intro with bell. This is actually all the main parts. You've got the left hand arpeggiated bass and also the choir sounds. And that will synchronize with a BPM up here. It's 113 BPM, and that is part of the song properties. Whenever you select Enjoy the Silence, it'll automatically select 113 BPM. So if you want to speed that up or slow it down, change it in the properties section of the song. Intro with bell, you can play that. You also have the arpeggio on the C. You can assign the B note as the off note or the kill note for this arpeggio. And you can actually see it here in this bell section. There's this ARP off switch, and here are the instructions on how to set that up. In fact, I'll show you how to do it. You just go to the edit panel section, select this switch, go to the MIDI, and just press learn and play the B note on your keyboard. And it's the only thing that you have to set up aside from loading the samples and having the BlueARP arpeggio app, which is all in the instructions. So the next part is the intro verse with guitar. You can start the song with this, and that's what I showed in my demo. Instead of having the bells on the right hand, you have the guitar. Okay. The refrain, that's when we go to the F minor, and that has a delayed string sound which comes in on the third beat of the measure. Go back to the instrumental, which is just the guitar and the left hand chords. Refrain 2 adds that synth bass on the left hand, and that's the rezo bass that you see in orange right here. This whole thing requires a bit of pedal technique. You do have to let go of your sustain pedal when you re-trigger the chord. The bass is set up to be monophonic, and it detects the lowest note in your chord. So even if you're playing the full C minor chord here, it'll only detect the lowest note. I'm always playing the root position of the chords. If you don't want to play the bass, you can simply deactivate it and save it in the panel. So this is the ARP bass, and that can be deactivated here. All of these represent an instrument group. For instance, the choir is actually made up of 3 different plugins, so there's 3 emulator plugins for that. So the interlude, and that's played twice on the right hand. I called it the stack. It's a few different synth sounds. And that's played twice. And you go back to the instrumental verse, which is just the verse sounds. Refrain 3 is the same as refrain 2, and this interlude is the same as that. Interlude 2 is the same left hand sounds, but with a choir sound. Okay. And to end is the same as the interlude, but this time it has the rezo bass. And I've reduced the volumes of the strings. And of course, you can assign your sliders to the on-screen sliders if you want more volume control. But as far as the way I set this up, the only thing you really have to do is assign this ARP off button. Let's go to the wiring page. This is what it looks like. The thing of note here are the ARPs that's run by an app called BlueARP. You'll find the instructions on how to set it up. For as long as it's installed in your computer, it should just work as expected. Now, for one reason or another, it doesn't work, or it loads up, but it doesn't see the presets. You can simply load the presets into the ARP. So this is what it looks like. This is the Enjoy the Silence Bell pattern, and it's actually called the BlueARP Bell. Okay, so this is the one that's generated by the C. This is actually a DX7, and that ARP just runs that. And again, don't forget to set your kill note for that. All right. And these other two are your bass patterns. So if you open that, this is the pattern for the C note downwards. Different pattern. Okay. So that's this plugin. It's the Mini V4. So the Mini V4 changed between Arturia V Collection 9 and 10. So if you've got an older version of the Arturia V Collection, make sure that you've got the updated Mini V, otherwise it's not going to work. So those are your arpeggios, and you can see how the instruments were grouped. The orange blocks are your controls. This is what controls your actual plugins. Also, you need to make sure that the samples have been loaded into the emulator 2. Since Depeche Mode actually used the emulator 2, that's what I used for this Rackspace. So all of these are your emulators. If you click that, you'll actually see the samples that I used. So you've got the clean strat mutes and your Dave strats. That's what runs the guitars. And also we've got the Enjoy the Silence choirs. So there's your ah sounds, your o sounds, and also the internal samples male choir. That's what it looks like. So if you're after the backing tracks that I used the drum track for my demo. And if you want that, you simply go to YouTube and just type in Enjoy the Silence and along with the word stems, and it'll take you here. And there's that channel. If you click that, down here he's got a download link, and that's what I use for my drums. Okay. And there you have it. Those are the sounds and the setup for Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode for the Arturia V Collection and Gig Performer 80s Covers Set 3. Thanks for watching. We'll see you. Bye.